Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm James Currie with the Communication Department. I'm talking to Stephen Schottgen. He is the behavioral health provider or a behavioral health provider here at MCHD. How are you doing this morning?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Never better. Um, Today we're going to talk about, since it's December, we're going to be talking about families, relationships, and obviously holidays, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving that passed. So some of the things we're going to be talking about, I guess the biggest issue would be take a weight off your shoulders. So let's talk about conflict.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about, obviously there's a lot of conflict that goes on around holidays. So any suggestion about easy ways to avoid or resolve conflict quickly?
Well, if we realize that we're going into a stressful situation, for example, split families, if there are couples where they have the holidays at the same time, say, for example, New Year's Eve, it can be good to communicate with your partner that, okay, this year we'll do this. Next year we'll go to the opposite relative's house, or try and coordinate everybody. Planning tends to reduce stress, so that's a big stress reducer, as well as communication, healthy communication.
Yeah, that I was going to ask you about, you were talking about, communicating and dividing between two households or multiple households to visit or travel. We also have to be mindful about all of that stuff during COVID also too. So, wouldn't you suggest if some of that can be replaced by maybe video conferencing or FaceTime or Zoom or something, just to be a little bit safer this year?
Oh, absolutely, because if you think about the past, when we get our families together, our loved ones, generally the age ranges go from very small to elderly, and some of the most vulnerable populations may come out during the holidays, and a lot of times that's just not advisable. So Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, any of those would be a healthier option.
I mean, they're, obviously not the, excuse me, obviously not the first and best choice because we want to be in the same place as our loved ones, but this is 2020. So we've got to make recommendations like that because of that.
Absolutely. And if
Yeah, go
there's
ahead.
no avoiding it, of course, the social distancing and limiting the number of people in an enclosed area.
Usually a gathering like that is going to be multiple households and things like that. So, um, you talked about, doing something at this household this year and then alternating years. Um, that brings me up to one of my next topics I wanted to ask you about, um, clashing holiday traditions. Um, how do you handle that? Say, um, your family opens their presents on Christmas Eve and your spouse's family opens her presents or their presents on Christmas morning. So how do you gingerly, you know, um, handle a tradition like that?
Well, again, communications. And it's also okay to divide up the gifts. So if you know you're going to a certain family member's gathering, set their gifts aside, reserve one or two, depending on how many gifts you have, and agree that, okay, this is more appropriate for this situation and these are more appropriate for the other situation. Again, it all comes down to planning and communication.
I'm hearing the overarching theme here is communication
Pretty
all the
much
way
in
around,
Yeah,
all the way
in most
around.
relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, something else that could be a conflict for families also too. Um, and you usually don't find out about this until January or February when the bills arrive. But Um, what about being honest about holiday spending?
Absolutely. It's a whole lot easier to spend it now and pay it later until later comes, and then the stress and the anxiety of I didn't mean to spend that much, and like you said, the bill comes a month later. But we do that instant gratification rather than delayed gratification. It's okay to sit down with family members, to include children, and explain to them, hey, this year it's going to be a lean year because the job situation may not be what it was last year or the year before.
That's true. I'm just envisioning a lot of husbands and wives, rushing home to beat the Amazon truck, to get the boxes off the front porch and hide them. So, um, just be honest. Be honest with your spouse and your partner and your family members about holiday spending, and you wouldn't have to, um, rush home to grab the stuff off the front porch and hide. Those Amazon boxes are not very easy to hide.
No, they're not. And
They're usually larger than the item you bought anyway. Um,
absolutely.
Now, also too, you know, people, around the holidays or dinners or stuff, they drink excessively. Maybe that's to counteract the conflict that's going on or something, but that's a topic for another day. But um, how do you very carefully talk to someone about being, moderate about their drinking?
Planning. If we know we're going into a stressful situation, and in the past we've used alcohol to cope with stress, it's a real good time to implement some healthy stress reduction techniques. It could be mindfulness, could be deep breathing. It could also be doing something that you enjoy before you go into the situation that's going to be stressful. It could be exercising, could be playing games, could be deep breathing. And it's okay also to step out of an anxiety producing situation. So if family members, friends are getting snippy with each other, it's okay to quietly excuse yourself and take a moment, take a deep breath, and then go back into it. And also limit exposure. If you know you're going, again, you're stepping into a stressful family situation, it's okay to tell your partner, hey, look, we've got to cut this down to 30 minutes, an hour at most. And, let's watch our drinking. Let's set a limit and stick to it.
Yeah, I like what you said about stepping outside, and it's always good to take a walk. You get a fresh perspective. You're able to clear your mind and your thoughts, and like you mentioned, you remove yourself from that situation, and when you step back into it, you're looking at it with fresh eyes. So very,
Absolutely.
very good advice. I had some other things written down here. Hold on one second. Okay. So we talked about toxic situations or toxic vices or behaviors. What about toxic in-laws or toxic people? How would you handle that?
Um, Communicating with your partner again, letting
Communication.
them
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
of your anxiety about going into the situation. Assertive communication is key. And it's real easy for us to go from assertive to aggressive. One thing that we practice here in therapy is how to communicate effectively and respectfully. And sometimes it's okay to agree to disagree. People have their opinions, whether valid or invalid, and it's okay to let them have that opinion. Uh, if they get aggressive again, it may be time to step away and don't say anything that can't be unsaid.
Yes, there are billions of people on this planet, and each one is unique, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion about things, and like you say, communicate, be respectful. um, so I think like you said also too, knowing when you're going into a situation too, if a person or an in-law is toxic. Um, I mean, how do you politely excuse yourself from that situation or avoidance?
Well, again, it helps to have a partner with whom you communicate well and ask them for help, enlist their help, and say, look, when this person, um, you notice that they're becoming animated, would you step in or um, work out a signal, whatever it is, for some assistance?
Make sure that you've got your wingman, right?
Exactly.
Somebody's got your back. That's always good. Um, the last thing that I had here is, there is a multitude of emotions and situations that occur around the holidays. Um, so I know you have some resources to give to people that might be able to help them with some of the conflict or resolve. So can you go through some of the resources that you have and the services that each one offers?
Okay. Sort of the one-stop shop for our area is Alabama 211. They have a comprehensive list of resources for everything from housing, food pantries, emergency counseling, emergency services, medical services. And it's real simple to get to. If you pick up any cell phone, you just text 211 or dial 211. And they also have an 800 number, which is, I need to use my cheat sheet, 888
Mhm.
421 1266.
All right, and we'll also post these numbers too with the copy with this video. Um,
Some
I,
other
yeah,
resources, I'm sorry to interrupt,
that's okay.
uh, because these times are stressful.
Mhm.
Generally, we have higher instances of suicidal ideation, thinking about suicide, making plans, and higher instances of attempts of suicide or self harm. Uh, there are a couple of numbers. One is a suicide hotline, and that's 800 273 8255. Of course, you can always call 911. And then again, Lifelines offers some local counseling as well.
And that's for Mobile County, Mobile area. Um,
The 800 number is state throughout the United States.
okay,
The Lifelines is local.
okay. And Lifeline's number, you have that?
That you can either, let me think where, 251 602 0909.
Okay. And then us here, we are a valuable resource too, right? So,
Oh, absolutely.
and
Uh,
I'm talking to one of them right now. So, uh, give us your information. How about that?
okay. You can call my office directly. It's area code 251 690 8193. And if I'm in a session or if I'm, out in the exam rooms, please leave me a message.
Okay. Well, my biggest takeaway is communication.
Absolutely.
Communication on all levels, and that's the easiest way to resolve any type of conflict.
It is.
Keeping communication lines open
And planning.
and planning secondary, or
Absolutely.
would that be 1A and 1B?
Absolutely. About 50-50.
Okay. All right. Well, Stephen, thank you. Always a pleasure. You're always a wealth of knowledge and very, very helpful, especially now during holiday, December, Christmas, end of the year, and everything else that goes along with this time of year. So, Stephen, thank you very much for being on Wellness Wednesday.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.